Travelers, back to another riveting episode of Never Ending Adventure. I'm your host, Diggity DJ Netty P.
And I'm your other host, Russell Tyndall.
Mustache Tyndall over here.
Mustache Tyndall. That was my nickname in middle school. Not really. Yeah, man. I don't know. I had a beard and it was probably about 1.5 inches long, and I just had enough of it. I was just ready to cut it off. So
yeah, you had an 8th grade beard?
No, I had, well.
Oh yeah. Well, you just had the 2-inch long beard.
I just had it. I just had a long. For a second, I thought
you had an 1.5 inch long beard in 8th grade, and I was about to be like,
no. I was always jealous. There's always that one guy on the football team that was full on facial hair in 8th grade.
And full on facial hair, you mean a solid crush sash,
Dude, I don't know, man. I mean, in my high school, when you big public school, there's some dude on the football team that should not be on the football team in middle school for sure. Some you look like you're in your 20s, you know,
5th year
in high school football,
8th grader,
yeah, exactly,
19 years old.
But man, anyways, welcome to the Adventure Time podcast, y'all. I mean, I'm super excited to talk about maybe not the most important episode ever. But I will say
a fun one at that, for
definitely
sure.
A fun one. Yeah. Hug Wolf, man. We're talking about Hug Wolf season 4, episode 8 this week. And I am a little annoyed. I gotta say, I'm kind of pissed off that they had this wonderful, here's the snail, here's the lich. What the heck? We're going into it. Just wait for the next episode. And then nope, just
and leave Hug Wolf. Well, it goes to show that whatever the lich snail combo is doing is doing a long play, you know. Which I appreciate. It took all the way up until that last episode for the lich to come back, and then obviously they're going to make you wait until pretty much the last episode of this season. And it's a good long play, though. That's for sure.
All right. Well, I'll wait. I'll hold tight. As y'all know, I've never seen the show before, so I'm just sitting in. Just watching one episode at a time as we go. And I'm just so ready for the lich. I want more of that really cool story. I mean, I really hope, and now forgive me, the big hero, Billy, right? Where's Billy at? Does he come back? He's got to come back.
Well, Billy's kind of, yeah. I mean, Billy's given up on his adventure days.
Yeah, but he could train Finn. We could have a time skip, like we do in One Piece.
Well,
and he goes and
just wait, because what you're saying is actually a factor that will lead into this last episode. So just you're on the right track. You are kind of saying the right thing of where is Billy? And that's a good question to ask right before we get to the end of the season.
Well, maybe we should talk about bears and hugging, or not bears, sorry, wolves and hugging and the desire. He
didn't fight a
hugged.
wolf. He fought a bear.
This whole episode is interesting. And as I was reading my notes, I had a really hard time coming up with a lovely this week.
Really? I had 6 lovelies in this episode.
Did you? Okay. Yeah. Well, as I'm reading through my notes, I'm I'm dumb, right? There's at least 2 very obvious lovelies. Finn could easily be a lovely in this episode. He has so many good one-liners. It is phenomenal how many great moments he has. And then, of course, the dad with the shotgun candy cane.
Yeah, okay.
Who's making the noises by himself and it's actually doing something.
Who has a candy cane who's going
he's
like, stay away from my daughter. She'll never marry.
What it says, get away from my daughter, you hairy teenager. And I, jokingly said to Allie after that, I was like, man, if I had a nickel every time a father said that to me back in the day,
I'd have about 5 nickels.
I've had 5 nickels, you hairy teenager. Couldn't help it, man. I was,
Gumdrop Man definitely picked up my lovely. My backup lovely, though, is one that came in very short into the episode. It was Mr. Cupcake.
Yep.
Who was like, I will drink this frosty drink to what? Hold on, I've got his exact line, to ease the woes of my anger. Is that what he says?
I don't know. I can't remember what it is, but he's my lovely. Honestly.
Oh, Mr. Cupcake.
Mr. Cupcake. Yeah, he's just having a frosted nightcap, and that is such a vibe.
That is a vibe.
Gotta have a good nightcap sometimes, and he knows what's up. He's going for a little stroll and just having a frosted beverage.
But apparently it was in the midst of him dealing with some anger issues, which I also was very unaddressed.
Hey, maybe the best way to, get that out, don't take it out on someone else or something else. Just
go drink a root beer float.
Never mind. Don't go drinking if you're pissed off. That's not the best advice ever.
No, I said root beer float or
okay, root beer float.
Yeah. I didn't say go out and just drink alone.
Yeah, I heard beer and I was like, oh no, not that. Don't drown yourself in alcohol, but I don't know, go for a walk. A good nightcap can do you good sometimes.
Yeah, there's nothing that a midnight Dairy Queen blizzard has never made better.
Oh,
man. To be honest.
That does sound pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I've been trying to cut back on ice cream a little bit, and it's not going well. So
I'm not a huge dessert guy, but when I do, it's typically always in I think I get one cookout milkshake a year at this point. And that's
wow.
It's
that's
the ball
impressive.
out point.
Man, I wish. I have no restraint. If there's sweets in this house, I'm eating them, and it's an issue. So.
Yeah. Well, let's get on the topic of sweet treats in the house. I thought this episode was great because we have a little moment where we see one of the ways that Finn and Jake service the Candy Kingdom, which in essence just looks like helping pick up trash, but they're just gathering up a nice little lunch of
a little candy lunch.
And I thought that was again, this episode, I went back and watched it and realized for 10 minutes, they packed a lot of content, a really, a lot of dialogue, a lot of they're in all these different places. But one of my favorite ones where I was like, they are like the raccoons of the Candy Kingdom because they'll just go around eating everybody's trash. So that's actually kind of cool though, because now I think that was a little moment of again building some lore. We've seen them Lemon Grab eats the dirt and the dirt's chocolate. And the roads are obviously made of candy too, but
and Susan Strong can just go eat everything.
Yeah, that even the inorganic material, the chip bags, the waste, the pieces of paper are all made of candy. So
it's pretty great.
I'd say that'd be a pretty sweet gig. Would be the garbage man in the Candy
That's
Kingdom.
funny, man. I find that interesting that stuck out to you because that is such I have one line of notes on that. Because they blow over it and immediately you have Cinnamon Bun coming in and freaking out about Finn having hugged him the night before. Yeah. Also, what hug hurts your love handles? I mean, what sort of a hug?
A good hug.
Hug?
The best kind of hug, yes.
Dude, someone's wrapped. Imagine the logistics of that. They're wrapped all the way around you and then grabbing your love handles. Because if they're just on your hips and then squeezing, that's not a good hug. You got to get your arms around my back. For a good hug.
I would just say it would have to be a very short person, probably.
Okay.
Or somebody coming in football tackle hug you, obviously.
Dude, Cinnamon Bun's a big boy, and also that's a sticky hug. I don't know if I want that hug, All
right. Do you have a best hug and the worst hug of this episode? I don't, but I just was curious if you what your opinions are on hugging in general. Are you a hugger?
I'm glad you asked, Ned. I'm glad you asked. I didn't quite go best and worst hug this episode. I did have a question for both of us though. Mm-hmm. Who in Adventure Time would give the best hugs?
That's a good thought.
Yeah. And I've got a top 3 and I'm a little unsure how I feel about it. Let's just say runner up, Breakfast Princess, but again, sweet.
No,
a little too sticky.
Too sticky. No.
But number 3 would be Hug Wolf for me, probably. Because born to hug, meant to hug. And even Finn's he's not hurting me. It's gentle. It's a gentle, nice hug. And just oh, okay, cool, the beginning of this episode. I think BMO would be a great hug because he's such a sweetheart. And it would be a very sincere hug. And I appreciate that about BMO. Number 1 for me, I think, is Jake because he could just fully, I'm saying, he could wrap you up just entirely and just such a comforting hug. And plus he's a dog, which is adorable. So I don't know.
That's true. I think with that in mind, I think Jake would be number 3 for me, for sure.
Okay.
Tree Trunks might be number 2, because it'd be like hugging like a little animal, and that's kind of a moment on its own. I don't know if we consider that a hug or just like a snuggle, but
dude, after that last Tree Trunks episode, no, thank you. I'm out.
Yeah, I was about to say after she was like getting it on with Mr. Pig. I don't know if that's weird to say anymore, but I would say number 1 is Sweet Pea for all the fans out there. I think Sweet Pea would give the best hugs.
I bet someone's going to be a little mad that I didn't just say Marceline just for the sake of saying Marceline gives the best
just
hugs,
to make Allie a little bit more mad at you.
Yeah, a little bit more mad. I almost made that joke while we were watching it, but nah, not doing that.
Well, that's so that was Adventure Time hugs. Are you a real life hugger? Because like, guys, we're in the South, so it's way more common practice to like meet a stranger, and if they're like close with your spouse or close with your best friend, to like, from a guy's perspective, to like dap them up and kind of do like a half hug, like,
yeah.
And then with girls, you see it much more commonly, and with like meeting someone's mom for the first time. Again, when Finn's like, I'll hug your mom.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I've hugged my friends' moms a lot. Like, but are you just like, is that, do you lean into that? Do you push away from that? Like, what's your vibe?
Dude, I hate to say that I'm an awkward side hugger. I mean, I think one of my most awkward
you have
stories,
to commit. You can't you gotta go all or nothing.
I'm not really a hugger, man. I mean, I think my buddies in college got me into hugging a little bit more open to hugging my bros. But in like growing up, we didn't do that. We, at most would dap each other up. Right. But then I had a band in high school that was very much of the hugging variety of men. And that was weird for me. I mean, I definitely was uncomfortable in that scenario. And I think as college went on, I got more and more comfortable with it. And I feel like I'm less awkward, less side hug nowadays, but I don't know. I'm a pretty awkward person, so I might still do that from time to time.
Yeah, I've ended up in the spots. It's, I don't mind like the full on hug. It's kind of like you have to let the other person read it. Like I'm all for it. So it's always like right when they're done, like hugging my wife or like hugging someone else. And I'm kind of like there on the side, that hug gets done. And so they're kind of like done with 100% hug you as well. Hug. And then it was, and it's because they don't want to like stop, push the other person away and make space and do it. So it's kind of like,
going for easy. A 3-way hug? Is that what's happening?
No, it's not the 3-way hug. It's like you come in too early on the hug and you're like, oh, hi as well.
Yeah.
And they're like,
that's a sidearm hug for me moment.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, it'd be awkward if I like reached all the way back around and like awkwardly.
And also you can't one up that hug, right? You can't one up the hug with the person that they know. It has to be lesser of an effort because they're like, and then also it kind of bothers me. Sorry, this is a tangent, I guess, but
no, it's the whole episode's about hugging. I don't think we're tangenting that bad.
Yeah. Well, when people are like, sorry, I'm a hugger. And I'm just like, I don't know about that, man. Like,
no, it's weirder to preface it. I think if you're a hugger, you just got to own it. You can't just be like, sorry.
You just go for it, right?
I'm a hugger. It'll be like, okay, now it feels like you're trying really hard. Yeah. Now I'm a little bit more bothered by this.
If that's my first impression, I'm just like, I don't know, man. You're going to have to impress me after that one because...
Yeah. Also, if you're like, I'm a hugger and I have a terrible personality, like it's not a good combo.
Hopefully not. I don't.
Yeah, I'm a very mean person, but I'm a hugger.
Surely that's not the case. Surely people that say that aren't mean people. If you're a hugger out there, traveler, you do you. And I ain't gonna yuck your yum. So that's how you like to greet people.
I embrace the hugging. I think I've just maybe ended up in circumstances where I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm okay. I have to steer into this awkward side hug, or hey, like. But yeah, I mean, with dudes, if it's a good, if I can tell you're going to dap me up good, like there's going to be a 50% hug on that one for sure.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, man, let's kind of actually go through just at least that first scene of this episode.
Yeah. Sorry,
we go to
jumped.
Many more tangents.
Excited.
We certainly did. So they start out with the Tree of Blight. They have this quest that they're going for. They have to burn down or stop the tree of blight that every 100 years it spews evil spores across the land.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of curious even how they know about this. Like, how did Finn and Jake figure out that that's the case and that every 100 years this occurs and this is the year, this is the moment that this tree of blight is going to happen? Because he gave away the Enchiridion to the freaking bear.
I'd assume that it was in the Enchiridion that he's like, again, memorized.
He's memorized.
And that's why he was open to giving it away and just going, oh yeah, like whoever is the hero that holds the, when I'm gone, whoever's holding the Enchiridion next will know like to slay the tree of blight.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll take that. I'll take that as an answer. Of course, that's when the Hugwolf comes out and has these like the craziest looking hands and feet. I mean, Finn even says, what was that? A butt?
What is that? A second butt?
A second butt? Yeah. I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. I didn't ever, I understood they're trying to make it like, claws. So they like couldn't even like, there is no like physical way that the Hugwolf could like attack you. I guess with the mouth, but
yeah, that mouth is definitely vicious.
I thought the concept of a Hugwolf would have been funnier though, had they just looked like normal werewolves, like claws and all, like looked super vicious, and then just went and gone for the hug. I don't know.
I kind of got that vibe though. I felt other than the heart hands. That is, like I said, a vicious face.
It throws the whole thing off. You immediately see it and be like, there's something up. I don't know.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Finn's not getting hurt at all. He's like, yeah, it's a gentle hug. We're good. But I loved, again, this is like the first one-liner of many great one-liners in this episode when Jake goes up and he's got this like cool 80s catchphrase in order to burn down the tree of blight. It's like, when you see the wicker devil in the tree afterlife, tell him Jake says hello.
I just love that.
It's so good.
The ruler of the tree afterlife is called the Wicker Devil.
The Wicker Devil.
I thought that was fantastic.
And then you kind of have my theoretically speaking, but I don't even know if it's technically a theoretically speaking because it seems kind of obvious, right? A burning piece of the wicker tree, or the tree of blight, flies out and hits the Hugwolf in the head, and then that's at the end of the episode. You have this big reveal that the tree of blight has been the Hugwolf, or the girl that turned into the Hugwolf all along.
Yeah, I've got several different theories about that.
It's got to be. I think it just transferred its essence.
Yeah, and they were saying
the Hugwolf.
In werewolves in their nature have healing powers, right? And they, are like, I guess to some degree immortal, and have like healing powers. And so if the Hugwolf was a Hugwolf before the Tree of Blight like existed ever, if it was just like became a Hugwolf somehow, would not have been affected by the Tree of Blight until the Hugwolf powers were gone. So that's like kind of the first theory.
Okay.
The second theory I had is that, and this one's way more deep cut, so I want to see what you think about this one, is that the Hugwolf actually was part of the Tree of Blight, like spreading its spores every 100 years.
Yeah.
That one of the spores, it could probably cause all different types of chaos and evil in the world or whatever. And that the Hugwolf hangs around the Tree of Blight and was actually just trying to stop Finn from getting, I don't know, either burning the Tree of Blight or stop him from like also getting infected. So that, or like stops other people.
Yeah,
she had been infected hundreds of years ago. It would be a deep cut canon.
And I think we would have read about that when they went into the library, right, to read up on the type of wolves or try and figure out what's going on. And they opened that book, the Bestiarium Vocabulum.
Bestium Vocabularium.
Yeah, something like that book. And it's like in the restricted section of the library, or maybe they just came out of it. And it's just very occulty vibes. But I think when they're reading about the Hugwolves, like they have this like insatiable hug lust that they have to do whenever there's a full moon. That's how an alpha wolf can turn you into a hug. Like you would have read about that. You would have known like, oh, and by the way, they like to hang around Tree of Blights because they're a part of the Tree of Blight or something.
That's true. Yeah,
like there's
you're
a
right. It probably
symbiotic
would have been
relationship.
part of the
Yeah.
Part of the lore or something like that.
I think it would have been, I don't know. I think there just would have been more to that. I tried to look up hug lust on Urban Dictionary.
Hug lust? Oh, Lord have mercy. What, did something actually even come up?
No, just a bunch of terrible definitions for lust, but nothing for hug lust. I really want to bring that segment back.
With going down a very dark path of the internet there.
I know, right? Well, I wanted to bring back the Urban Dictionary segment, and I just couldn't find a good one, but
it's okay. Well, let's take a breather. I've got a couple of other good thoughts about this episode. We'll break some more down about Finn and the candy people and all that stuff too.
Oh yeah, didn't even.
Let's
tell
make sure
him
we
name.
don't exhaust everybody too much.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel a little uncomfortable with this week's advertisement, but Cinnamon Bun paid us good money to do it, so here goes nothing. This week's episode is brought to you in part by Cinnamon Bun's Bun Hugs. Located in the heart of the Candy Kingdom, Cinnamon Bun's Bun Hugs is a must for all locals and tourists alike. Get your buns handled with care by the sweetest treat in all of the kingdom. And as they say, it just takes one hug to fix your mug.
And we're back. We're back at it, talking about the Hug Wolves.
Yep.
After a very short ad.
Very short ad. Well, Ned, as I kind of mentioned, like I threw in right before we broke for the ad, Finn has this moment where he says, "Didn't even tell me its name" about the Hug Wolf. And that's just another one of those great one-liners by Finn. I mean, I could just go through them right now, but I almost want to just wait till they naturally come up in our conversation. But even in the moment right after that, when Finn's like curled up at the house and he's hugging BMO, right? He's just like, hugging helps. He's just feeling affectionate and has a fever and everything. And for whatever reason, hugging helps him feel just a little bit better. But poor BMO, he's going to have some flashbacks after that one.
Yeah. Well, and here's something that I had a question on, because as we get into this episode, there's a moment where like Finn is feeling affectionate, and then when he can't hug, he starts to get all crazy. Then there's other moments where he's not feeling anything, but the full moon comes out. Do you have any sort of like full scope of how this kind of werewolf happens? Because like in the movies, it's either like it's a full moon and they transform. They are cursed and they can transform whenever they want to or whenever they get angry. Or there's like a magic pelt. And this one, it just seems like sometimes he's getting like horny for some hugs. Then other time it's the full moon, and then other time it just doesn't seem like consistent every time he like changes.
If I had to guess, he's changing because of the full moon, right? So the full moon seems to last 2 nights in a row. And then I would also assume that the reason he was having a fever and kind of the hug lust and feeling affectionate right after he got turned the night before, or like that night, the Hug Wolf had hugged him. It's kind of like that not Harry Potter, Peter Parker. Yeah. Kind of rhyme, I guess.
Harry
not
Potter,
really.
Peter Parker.
The Peter Parker moment where he is getting sick, he got bit by the spider and he's freaking out and he's seeing like double vision and he passes out on his floor. It's probably something similar to that, where he's going through this transformation internally. Or
so that like, first night is not like a true transfer. So I guess because
it's like before that first night, like because he hasn't had the night yet, right? It's like the next day he's going through that moment where he's having the fever and all that stuff, and he's feeling affectionate.
But Cinnamon Bun that next day does say, "You came into my room at midnight."
That's true. That's true.
So
yeah, you're right.
Was he also was you are possibly correct that he was like having a fever dream, hadn't even transformed into the wolf part yet, and was actually just still like human body Finn.
Yeah, but that's and why they recognized him too, right? They recognize, or Cinnamon Bun recognized it was Finn who went and hugged him. So maybe it was like a slow transitionary period where he was kind
like
of
the first full moon
being taken over. Yeah, I could. That's my mind canon on how that works, I think.
But you think that so the full moon goes away. And Finn
and then he turns
would
back
have
to
a full month as a not hug wolf with just like inert desires to hug all the time, or would maybe it just totally be gone?
just every night he turns into the hug wolf type thing, and it's only the full moon only. No, it would definitely be on full moons. And I'm guessing like alpha hug wolves are only on full moons. Can they turn you into? I don't know.
Yeah, I would assume the alpha hug wolf was hug wolfing all the time. It was not but the full moon is only when you can like get infected.
I sure don't have any good Lycan canon. I'm not deep into all that stuff personally. Yeah, but it is interesting to talk about, certainly.
Well, I'm sure as soon as you get into that kind of canon, everybody's going to have. No, well, silver doesn't actually kill werewolves. That fire does.
Works this way.
Fire doesn't kill it. It
works this way in Twilight, and it works that way in RuneScape. And when you're doing a dance in the full moon, I don't know. Anyway, so
you're doing it
right after, he was Cinnamon Bun. Finn drops another line that I love, and he says, "Don't tell me it's because I've repressed emotional feelings for Cinnamon Bun." It's like, Finn,
and don't tell me
killing me, man. It's almost just like right in my funny bun.
I'm glad that you're writing these little moments down, because I've seen the show so many times that it's kind of normal for me to hear like those kind of clever one-liners, and I think they're funny, but it doesn't. It's not like hitting me for the first time as that humor, you know.
It's a real Finn doth protest too much, methinks, kind of a moment. He's like, you know, I don't know. Don't tell me it's because of my repressed emotional feelings. I mean, you know, I don't know why I feel that way or why I hugged them, but I don't know. I don't know.
No, but still, you remind me of that. Like, that's why we love this show, is because like it's those like simple ways it's written that I take it for granted now, because I'm just like, oh yeah, like isn't this show funny? Like. You get to watch it and be like, oh yeah, every time they say something, dude. I mean, I do get to call it out.
The next scene happened too, and the next scene I get another one-liner where he's freaking talking about hugging cactuses, and it's like be prickly and painful, and then Finn says, "Can I hug the cactus now? But the poor cactus, it needs me.
It needs me."
I love it. I mean, that's why he was almost my lovely, because he just has so many moments, and even the "I'll hug your mom," which was my tops of the episode.
Yep, that was right after I had that one up there until it was immediately followed up with the angry gumdrop man. But the "I'll hug your mom"
that's how he reassures.
It probably needs to be a comeback or an insult we should use more regularly.
That's a nice little PG insult, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it, man. Mom. I love it. Well, there's two other thoughts I have on this episode, like as a whole, and then I'm pretty much tapped out. It was a great episode, but man, you know me, I can usually find deeper stuff in this kind of Adventure Time world, and this one was just kind of a fun front to back adventure. My first one is that, are you a little surprised that we didn't get Marceline in this episode? Because they would have had a fun little like vampire and werewolf dynamic.
Yeah, that could be cool.
They kind of could have like consulted with Marceline on like, hey, we're dealing with a monster who's an ancient monster. Have you ever fought one? I think going to Marceline instead of going to the library and just looking it up in a book would have been a cooler like transition scene.
Yeah, I agree. And it would have brought a really cool character into the show or this episode as well.
And that like Marceline could have been afraid of hug wolves and like gone away. She wouldn't even had to like been involved the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
But
no, I didn't think about that.
Tap into your canon. You've got the canon. Tap into it more.
Yeah. Know? Well, if Marceline had been in the episode, she would have been fighting for my sexiest character of the episode for sure.
Seconded by the hug wolf after she turns back.
Seconded by right.
Marcy.
However you say that. Yeah, definitely the human hug wolf. I mean, what she's described in the fandom, Wikipedia fandom, beautiful lady is how they describe her.
Lady.
Human.
I looked at the wiki as well and was like hoping that we could have seen like what type of like creature she was, or if she was even, because I was like looking into humanoid, see if like
I think.
Humanoid. Yeah. I was just hoping that like they could have played into my theory of like how old she actually was.
Mm-hmm.
But they really tapped into let's make Finn the 13-year-old feel very tingly on the inside. You stopped hugging me.
How did you feel about when they found him with a crop top in the river, right? He's ripped his clothes up or whatever. But he's got a little midriff going on, and then they put him in the jail, the candy dungeon, and you got the whole mob there, and then Cinnamon Bun's actions in that scene where he's just so like, I have to be hugged. Finn, you're tempting me, and I'm buying into it. I'm craving this hug. Like, did that play as good for you as it did for me? I thought that was so funny.
I thought, I mean, not just Cinnamon Bun alone, but that actually was my last overarching thought, was that like we had a great way that they built all the candy people into this episode. We had Mr. Cupcake, we had the gumdrop guy, we had the mob, we have a Cinnamon Bun, and even the mob itself, like you said, standing over the bridge when he is like, we're mad, but we're not going to come down there. You know, they said there was like this the little mob of candy people had the best like peanut gallery. And it was that moment when they're walking out to the wood, or they're about to walk out of the woods, and they're like, don't hug me without my consent. And like, this is like a very last minute thing. And then I think it's the candy person in the woods. Then they're like, say no to hugs, which is all making fun of Nancy Reagan's say no to drugs campaign. So they had some good peanut gallery candy people moments, but all in all, to answer your question, to answer your question with Cinnamon Bun, it played out well. It gives you, as much as Cinnamon Bun complained that his love handles hurt, he desires to be hugged.
Needs
so
those hugs, those good hugs, man.
Hugs.
Maybe Finn should have been in my top. I mean, if he's giving out that good of a hug, even if he wasn't transformed, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he should have been my top hugger.
Bro, at the end of the day, I mean, I guess it's the without consent part, and obviously that's not gonna. I'm not gonna let that play into a bigger lesson, because that's an obvious one.
Obvious, yeah.
But if Finn, let's say he had just never been fixed of his hug wolfness, and once 2 nights every month he goes out there and hugs everybody. I also don't think he's not an alpha hug wolf. He can't turn anybody else into a hug wolf. How bad is that life? Like,
it's not
he
good,
could
man.
still be all Finn, all hero, but he's just like 2 nights a month. I'm just like,
no,
I just gotta go hug people.
Board up your walls. Like, don't let your no. It's so creepy. He jumps in that little girl's room to try and give her a hug. That's not cool.
Yeah, I guess that
he would not be the hero
if it was
at that point.
Bad.
It's pretty bad.
I don't know. What's a movie or show that I'm thinking about, like, where essentially they like know they're gonna do something bad, so they like lock themselves in a dungeon for, oh gosh, I just can't think of it right now.
Are you talking about one of those movies where once a year everybody can kill each other sort of vibes?
No. It's something different. I'm not thinking about The Purge. Once a year, everybody can go outside and just hug a bunch of strangers. The government can't get involved.
Hug offs, hell yeah. I have a wife. The deer.
I have a wife.
Yeah.
They like said they've capitalized on the one-liners and
they did, dude. They did, and even just the like animation humor was great too, with the giant explosion of like Finn out hugging the hug wolf before the hug wolf turns into the beautiful lady. You have
and
this
all
explosion,
the mountain goats,
all the mountain goats go flying off. I missed that the first time. That's so good. Yeah, they're good episode. I'm glad we got to talk about this one, and I think I ended up enjoying it far more than I ever thought I would.
Yeah, I got more out of it too. I was going into this week going like, okay, I guess I'll watch the Hug Wolf episode over again. Seen it 1,000 times, but breaking it down, I paused it in the middle of one of my watches and was like, oh my gosh, I'm like 6 minutes through this 11 minutes. I was like, I thought I had 30 seconds left of this episode. Like, it was good. It
so
packed a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. Do you have any factoids for us or any trivia?
Nothing crazy factoid. There was a scene, and pretty much when they're standing at the bridge, you see PB chasing a black cat, which is probably referring to the voice actor's black cat or Natasha's black cat. I can't talk tonight. Natasha's black cat pancake. Ugh, that's a mouthful for late this night. And I just thought about, I mean, I think I kind of mentioned it, but on the topic of werewolves, I was like, okay, so where do werewolves come from? And some believe that the first one is in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the oldest known Western prose, when Gilgamesh jilted a potential lover because she had turned her previous mate into a wolf. So they kind of have this werewolves don't have a first werewolf in history story, that they all are basically like wolves. There was like in Viking lore, there's all these stories about people who could put on wolf pelts and like become wolves, and they would like attack villages. In Greek mythology, there's the legend of Lycaon, which is where what did you call it? The lycanthrope.
Yeah,
that's where like that term comes from.
Oh,
and according to that legend, the son of Pelagus angered the god Zeus when he served him a meat made from the remains of a sacrificed boy. As punishment, the enraged Zeus turned Lycaon and his son into wolves.
Oh, wow.
So that's where I think the lycanthrope comes from, that whole Greek mythology term.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my only factoid.
What was now, many episodes ago, we had like very scientific smart wolves. Those were Y-wolves, right?
Yeah, we had Y-wolves and science
unrelated
cat comes,
entirely.
Yeah. Science cat, Y-wolves, and now hug wolves.
There's definitely like a common theme. We've seen 3 of our main characters running with wolves, or eating and sleeping and hanging out with wolves, as LSP did once upon a time.
Wolves have played a bigger part. I guess now that we break it down, they've played a bigger part in Adventure Time than I had remembered.
Who do you prefer? Do you prefer Y-wolves over hug wolves, or are you a hug wolf over Y-wolf kind of a guy?
That's a good question. I would maybe prefer the hug wolf.
Yeah,
the Y-wolf seemed like it would get really old really quickly, and I wouldn't mind a hug every day from a hug wolf.
Yeah, as long as it's not an alpha, I don't want to be turning into
as long as it's like a one good 2-minute long power hug, and then but not like 2 hours straight. That's all. That's
what's your lesson, dude? You got a good lesson for us this week?
I've got 2 lessons, I think, both of which we already kind of talked about. But apparently, hugging your mom is my new favorite insult. I'm just going to be like, I want to hug your mom, just to freak people out. And frozen drinks / ice cream / root beer floats are my new prescription for anger problems.
Hey, there you go.
So that's my 2 lessons. What about you?
I just got one. My lesson this week is pretty given. Make sure you got consent before you go dishing out those good hugs. That's all I want. Just have consent before you do it.
Don't get canceled.
Don't get
Don't go to jail.
Don't be a fool. Don't be awkward like me. Make sure everyone's down for the hug. No sidearm hugs.
Yeah. If you can prevent it, let's put to bed side hugs if we can.
Oh,
do them only when necessary, I guess.
Ned, I got a rec for you this week.
Lay it on me, baby.
I might be throwing this back a little bit. I'm not sure if I've already used this. I'm pretty sure I haven't. I tried to search my notes for it. But Patrick Rothfuss is an author that I really like. And he released one of my favorite fantasy novels forever ago. All my buddies in college got obsessed with it. But the Kingkiller Chronicles is the name of the book series. And the name of the wind.
I think that was maybe your like episode 5 rec or something.
Really?
Like
okay.
It's been a while though.
Well, if you haven't checked it out yet, I still highly recommend it. That's gonna be my rec for this podcast. What about you?
My rec this week comes from us binging a show that we had picked up and put down for a little while and just finished it. But we just finished the Apple TV show We Crashed, which was like the story of WeWork and what happened. And I don't know, I've done kind of the startup tech industry and worked at a company that I was there when they did their IPO. So I kind of understand like some mentality of that, but it was just really interesting. The acting's really great. And it's kind of crazy that like that all happened in the last like 4 years.
Yeah. Wow.
So highly recommend that show if you do have Apple TV.
I might have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a fun one. Jared Leto and Anne Hathaway, main two characters.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for coming by. We might let y'all out a little bit early this week. I wasn't planning it, but that's where we're at right now.
You get 5 minutes extra to go line up for lunch.
Yeah, well, hey, we could just sit around and me and Ned will shoot the shit for a little bit if we really need to. But I did want to give a shout out. We had someone message us, and we may not make a habit of this, but I thought it was a very sweet message. It's from Gwendolyn for her boyfriend, Preston. And she just wanted to wish him a happy 21st birthday. And it sounds like he's a big fan of the podcast and listens every week to the new episodes. And yeah, I mean, it's just really nice. Happy birthday, dude. I hope you have a great one.
Happy birthday. We know you. We know you. We love you.
Oh, gosh.
I love you. We love you. You know it.
Man. But no, pretty rad. Hope the 21st is good. Be safe and have some fun.
Yeah.
Sounds like he also has a tattoo of Adventure Time.
Good. Yeah. Send us a pic of that too, for sure.
That'd be rad.
We need to inspire Russell to get one. But I remember my first annual 21st birthday party.
Yeah.
Next year will be my 10th annual 21st birthday party. So gonna have a blast.
Yeah. I don't even want to think about my next birthday.
So all we're saying is live it up.
Enjoy your youth.
Enjoy your young years, boy.
Well, check us out on Instagram if you haven't yet. Never Ending Adventure Podcast. TikTok at Never Ending Adventure Cast. Twitter at NEA_podcast. Email us your thoughts, your opinions. Get on the Traveler's Log. Let's get more Traveler's Log segments
Get on the train.
At NEA.travelerslog@gmail.com. And yeah, thank you so much. If you do a review and let us know you did it somewhere on Apple Podcasts or on iTunes or even a Spotify rating, and just let us know you did that, we'll still send you a sticker. I'm still down to do that.
Whoa, Russell.
What?
Sticker. What? I hardly know her.
Oh my gosh.
Got him.
Party forever.
Love you guys.